Your penny jar might be a gold mine. Collectors pay big money for rare pennies with unique dates and mint marks. 1 cent could turn into a fortune. The 1975 United States 1-cent penny might seem like just another ordinary coin that passed through the hands of millions of Americans, but when we look closely at this particular year, there is far more to uncover. For most people, a penny is something so small in value that it's often ignored or even left behind on countertops and sidewalks. Yet for collectors, the 1975 Lincoln Memorial Cent is one of those fascinating coins where condition, minting quirks, and rare errors can elevate its value far beyond its humble face value. What makes this coin so intriguing is not only its place in American coinage history, but also the surprising prices it has achieved in auctions, turning something so common into a coveted treasure for those who appreciate the details. On the obverse of the 1975 penny is the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This design had been on the 1-cent coin since 1909 and remains the longest-running design in American coinage history. Lincoln's profile faces right, his thoughtful expression capturing the solemn dignity of the president who preserved the Union. The motto "In God We Trust" arcs above. Liberty is placed to the left, and the date 1975 appears on the right. Depending on where the coin was minted, you'll find either no mint mark for Philadelphia, a D for Denver, or an S for San Francisco, with the latter reserved for proof coins. On the reverse is Frank Gasparo's design of the Lincoln Memorial, which had been introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The reverse shows the memorial in impressive detail, with the tiny figure of Lincoln's statue visible if you look closely between the central columns. United States of America curves across the top. The national motto "E pluribus unum" rests just above the memorial, and 1 cent is boldly displayed at the bottom. This design is familiar to generations of Americans who carried these coins in their pockets daily. Production numbers for the 1975 penny were massive. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 5.4 billion coins. The Denver Mint produced more than 4.5 billion, and the San Francisco Mint made about 2.8 million proof coins. With nearly 10 billion 1975 pennies created, it is easy to see why most examples are worth only their face value today. However, what changes everything is the condition of the coin and whether or not it contains an error. The composition of the 1975 penny was 95% copper and 5% zinc, which gave it the rich reddish tone collectors love. These copper pennies are often judged by how much of that original red luster remains. Coins are typically categorized as red, RD, red-brown, RB, or brown, BN. A fully red penny with brilliant original surfaces is rare after so many decades, especially considering how easily copper tarnishes and darkens. Circulated examples are virtually everywhere and worth 1 cent. But when preserved in mint state condition, the 1975 penny suddenly becomes valuable. Collectors especially prize coins graded MS66 or MS67 red by PCGS or NGC. In MS65 red, these coins can bring $50 to $100. At MS66 red, they might sell for $100 to $250. And in MS67 red, they are very rare, with auction prices ranging from $1,500 to $3,000. In fact, a 1975 D Lincoln Cent graded MS67 red by PCGS sold for more than $3,000, making it one of the most valuable examples of this date. Proof coins from San Francisco are also collectible, especially in grades of PR69 or PR70 Deep Cameo, where the contrast between the frosted devices and mirror-like fields makes them stunning to look at. Error coins from 1975 are another major factor that makes this penny desirable. Mint errors occur when something goes wrong in the production process, and these accidents often result in unique coins. Off-center strikes are among the most common, and while minor misalignments might only bring a few dollars, dramatic off-center strikes that still show the date can sell for $100 to $300 or more. Double strikes, where the coin is struck twice with a noticeable shift, are also very collectible and can fetch several $100s depending on how bold the error is. One of the most exciting errors is the wrong planchet strike. A penny struck on a dime planchet, which would make it smaller and thinner with some design cut off, can bring in $500 to $1,500 or more. Pennies struck on foreign planchets, which occasionally happened when the mint was producing coins for other countries, can be even more valuable, sometimes reaching into the thousands. Other dramatic errors include broad strikes, which spread the coin out without the restraining collar, die caps, which cause coins to look like domed pieces of metal, and cuds, which occur when part of the die breaks off, leaving a raised blob on the surface of the coin. Auction records provide some of the best evidence of just how valuable the 1975 penny can be. While common circulated examples sell for face value, top-graded mint state coins and dramatic errors have fetched impressive sums. A 1975 D Lincoln cent in MS-67 red selling for over $3,000 remains a standout record. Other high-grade examples have consistently sold for over $1,000. Error coins, depending on the type and visibility of the mistake, have brought anywhere from $200 to $2,000 at major auctions. This demonstrates how even a coin that billions of people once used in daily commerce can surprise collectors decades later. The 1975 penny is part of the copper cent era, a time before the switch to copper-plated zinc in 1982, and that alone gives it a nostalgic charm. For many collectors, finding one of these coins in near-perfect condition or discovering an unusual error is a reminder of how the ordinary can become extraordinary. The lesson here is simple. Never underestimate the penny in your pocket. What seems like the most common coin could turn out to be something rare and valuable if you look closely enough. Whether it's a blazing red gem certified by a grading service, a proof coin that shines with perfect mirror surfaces, or an error coin that tells the story of the mint's mishap, the 1975 Lincoln Memorial penny has proven that value lies in the details. The next time you see a penny, especially one from the 1970s, think twice before dismissing it. That small copper coin may hold a story worth far more than 1 cent. For collectors, the thrill comes in the hunt, the careful examination of a coin that might have been overlooked by countless hands before, and the discovery that something once thought ordinary can, under the right circumstances, command thousands of dollars at auction. The 1975 penny is a perfect example of how history, condition, and rarity all combine to turn pocket change into hidden treasure. The 1995 United States 1-cent penny might seem like one of the most ordinary coins you could possibly find in your pocket, but as collectors know, sometimes it's the most common coins that hide the biggest surprises. Billions of Lincoln cents were struck in 1995, and for the average person, they were nothing more than loose change, something to toss in a jar or spend without a second thought. Yet for numismatists and sharp-eyed treasure hunters, the 1995 penny has proven itself to be a fascinating collectible thanks to its history, its connection to one of the most beloved coin series in America, and especially because of dramatic mint errors that have pushed individual examples into the spotlight at major auctions. To really appreciate the 1995 penny, you have to place it within the broader story of the Lincoln cent. First struck in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the Lincoln cent became the first regular-issue U.S. coin to feature a real person. Victor David Brenner's obverse portrait of Lincoln quickly became iconic, and for decades, Americans have associated the humble penny with one of the greatest presidents in history. By 1995, the reverse design featuring the Lincoln Memorial was still in use, a design first introduced in 1959 for the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. That meant the 1995 penny was part of the long-running Memorial Reverse era, which lasted until 2008.3 mints produced the 1995 penny. Philadelphia struck more than 6.4 billion coins, Denver produced another 7.1 billion with the D mint mark, and San Francisco created hundreds of thousands of proof coins for collectors, marked with an S. Altogether, more than 13 billion pennies were minted in 1995. With numbers like that, it's no wonder they are still everywhere today, but the large mintage also meant a higher chance of mistakes. And as history has proven, it's those mistakes that can turn a coin worth just 1 cent into something worth thousands of dollars. Composition is another detail that adds to the story. Since 1982, the U.S. Mint had been making pennies out of a copper-plated zinc core, with just 2.5% copper on the outside and 97.5% zinc inside. This change reduced production costs but also introduced new types of minting errors. Plating flaws, peeling copper, and missing layers became much more common, and collectors now actively seek out these unusual variations from the 1990s.at face value. A 1995 penny in circulated condition is worth only 1 cent. Even uncirculated examples in mint state 65 are generally valued at around $1 or $2. But things change dramatically when you move to the highest possible grades. Coins graded MS68 red, for example, are incredibly rare because so few survive with absolutely pristine surfaces. Auction records show that 1995 pennies in MS68 have sold for more than $1,000, and in some cases much higher when collector demand is strong. Proof coins from San Francisco graded PR70 Deep Cameo, the top possible grade, also sell for hundreds of dollars due to their perfection. But the true superstar of the 1995 penny series is the famous double die obverse variety. This error is instantly recognizable because the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" appear doubled, with clear, distinct separation. Unlike some double dies that are subtle, the 1995 double die is bold and visible even to the naked eye. Collectors went wild when these coins were discovered, and they remain one of the most desirable modern era coins in the Lincoln Cent series. Depending on condition, the 1995 double die penny can be worth anywhere from $50 to several $100s. In the highest mint state grades, with strong red coloration and no signs of wear, values soar into the thousands. One brilliant example graded MS69 red sold for more than $4,000 at auction, proving just how powerful the demand for this era remains. Even circulated examples with the doubling clearly visible can fetch $50 to $100, meaning sharp-eyed collectors can still profit by checking their change. Beyond the famous double die, other 1995 penny errors also command strong interest. Off-center strikes are a favorite, with values ranging from $50 for minor examples to $500 or more for dramatic errors where half the design is missing but the date remains intact. Double strikes, where the coin is struck more than once and the designs overlap, can sell for $500 to $1,500 depending on severity. Clipped planchets with crescent-shaped gaps in the edge also bring strong premiums. Another exciting error is the missing copper plating variety. Because the copper layer on 1995 pennies is so thin, mistakes during the plating process sometimes resulted in coins with exposed zinc showing through. These unusual-looking pennies, with a silver-gray appearance or patchy copper, are highly collectible and often sell for $200 to $500 depending on condition and size of the missing layer. At auction. The 1995 penny has a track record of surprising results. A 1995 D penny in MS68 red sold for over $2,000. Proof coins from San Francisco in PR70 Deep Cameo have sold for $500 to $800. And the most dramatic results have come from the double die obverse variety, with multiple examples breaking the $4,000 mark in top condition. For a coin that started out worth just a cent, those numbers are astonishing. What makes the 1995 penny particularly exciting is that examples are still out there in circulation. Unlike rare 19th century gold coins or early American coppers, modern era pennies continue to surface in everyday pocket change. Collectors searching through rolls of pennies from the bank still dream of finding the 1995 double die obverse or a dramatic off-center strike. That possibility of discovery keeps the hobby alive, turning ordinary people into treasure hunters every time they examine their change. The 1995 penny also serves as an important reminder of the Lincoln Cent's role in American culture. By 1995, the Lincoln design had already been on the penny for 86 years, making it the longest-running coin design in U.S. history. It had survived world wars, economic depressions, and changes in metal composition, yet it remained a symbol of American history and identity. The double die era of 1995 added another chapter to that legacy, giving collectors a modern rarity to chase after while keeping Lincoln Cent relevant in the world of numismatics. So, the next time you see a 1995 penny, don't dismiss it as ordinary. Look closely at the inscriptions. Check for doubling in Liberty and In God We Trust. Examine the coin for off-center strikes, plating flaws, or unusual markings. If it's in pristine condition, consider having it graded, because those top-end examples can be worth thousands. And if you happen to come across one of the legendary double die obverse pennies, you'll be holding a piece of numismatic history, one that has already brought record-breaking prices at auction. In the end, The 1995 penny is a perfect reminder that value isn't always obvious at first glance. Sometimes it hides in the details. A doubled word, a missing layer, or a perfectly preserved surface. Those details can turn a 1-cent coin into a treasure worth thousands. And that's what makes the 1995 penny such a thrilling piece for collectors and such a fascinating coin in the broader story of U.S. money. The 2010 United States 1-cent penny is one of those modern coins that at first glance might seem far too common to ever be interesting. After all, pennies are produced in the billions every year, and most of them immediately slip into circulation where they live their lives rattling around in jars, purses, and pockets until they're worn, scratched, and eventually forgotten. But when you take a closer look at the 2010 penny, you'll see that it sits at a fascinating point in U.S. coinage history, marking the early years of the Union Shield reverse design while continuing the long tradition of Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse. And when you add in the world of error coins and high-grade examples, suddenly this simple little coin becomes far more exciting, sometimes carrying a value that can rise into the hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. To understand why the 2010 penny is so intriguing, you first need to look back at the story of the Lincoln cent. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the penny was groundbreaking. It was the first regularly circulating U.S. coin to feature a real person rather than an allegorical figure, and its release instantly captured public attention. The obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, showed a right-facing portrait of Lincoln with his strong profile framed by the inscriptions, "In God, we trust," above, "Liberty" to the left, and the date to the right. This portrait has remained on the coin for over a century, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. By 2010, the penny had just gone through an important transition. In 2009, to celebrate the 200th anniversary of Lincoln's birth and the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln cent itself, the mint struck 4 different reverse designs, each one representing a different stage of Lincoln's life, from his humble log cabin beginnings to his presidency in Washington, D.C. These were issued for just 1 year, making them popular among collectors. Then in 2010, the mint introduced a brand new reverse design that would become the long-term replacement for the Lincoln Memorial reverse that had been used since 1959. This new reverse design, known as the Union Shield, was created by artist Lyndall Bass and engraved by Joseph Mena. It features a strong heraldic shield with 13 vertical stripes, representing the original 13 colonies, joined at the top by a horizontal bar that symbolizes unity. Across the top bar is the motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. Draped across the shield is a banner bearing the denomination 1 cent, while United States of America appears along the top rim. The design was chosen not only to honor Lincoln but also to symbolize his role in preserving the Union during the Civil War. From a technical standpoint, the 2010 penny is the same as all cents produced since 1982. A core of 97.5% zinc coated with a thin layer of copper. This gives the coin its reddish-brown color but also makes it prone to issues like plating blisters and corrosion, which are problems unique to modern pennies. The coin weighs 2.5 grams, measures 19.05 millimeters in diameter, and has a plain edge. In terms of mintages, the 2010 penny was produced in enormous numbers, ensuring its availability in circulation. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 2.06 billion coins, while the Denver Mint struck more than 2.41 billion. The San Francisco Mint produced proof versions in much smaller quantities for collectors, with mintages just over 1.7 million. With billions of coins in circulation, the 2010 penny is anything but rare in average condition. But the story changes when you look at coins in exceptional condition or with mint errors. High-grade circulation strikes are always a focus for collectors. A typical 2010 penny found in your pocket will show scratches, dings, and dullness from use, making it worth only face value. But an uncirculated example with full luster and no noticeable marks can be worth more. Coins graded mint state 67, MS 67, red have sold for $50 to $100, while the rare MS 68 red examples can bring $250 or more at auction. These nearly flawless coins are extremely hard to find given the massive production numbers and the rough handling coins endure before entering circulation. Proof versions are also desirable. A 2010s penny in PR70 Deep Cameo, the highest grade possible, often sells for $50 to $100, sometimes higher depending on demand. But where the real excitement lies is in error coins. Despite modern minting technology, mistakes still slip through, and the 2010 penny is no exception. Error coins are fascinating not only because of their rarity but also because they give collectors a glimpse into the minting process. One type of error that shows up on 2010 pennies is the double die. This occurs when the die strikes the design slightly off during production, creating doubling on parts of the coin such as the date, Liberty, or the letters in E pluribus unum. Clear double die errors are highly collectible and can be worth anywhere from $100 to several $100s depending on visibility and condition. Another dramatic error is the off-center strike. This happens when the blank planchet is not properly aligned with the die, resulting in a coin that is partially struck and partially blank. Off-center 2010 pennies with 50% or more of the design missing and the date still visible can sell for $150 to $300 at auction. Other popular error types include broad strikes, where the coin is struck outside the retaining collar and spreads out wider than normal, and missing plating errors, where the thin copper layer is absent in some areas, exposing the zinc core. These errors create visually striking coins that can bring $50 to $200 depending on severity. Coins struck on the wrong planchet, say a penny design struck on a dime or foreign blank, are even rarer and can sell for several $1,000s. Auction results highlight the surprising value of 2010 pennies in the right circumstances. A 2010 D penny graded MS68 red by PCGS has sold for nearly $300, showing how condition alone can dramatically increase value. Error coins have performed just as strongly, with dramatic off-center and missing plating examples fetching between $150 and $400. While most 2010 pennies will never be worth more than face value, these rare examples prove that collectors are willing to pay top dollar for the unusual. The 2010 penny is also important from a historical standpoint. It marks the beginning of the Union Shield design, which remains on the penny today. This makes it not only a collectible in its own right, but also a significant milestone for anyone interested in the evolution of U.S. coinage. Collectors often seek the first year of a new design, and the 2010 penny is no exception. What's fascinating is how a coin that's so common and so small can still capture the imagination of collectors. It's easy to dismiss pennies as worthless in today's economy, where many people won't even bother picking one up off the ground. But the 2010 penny reminds us that even the humblest coin can hold hidden value, whether through pristine condition, minting mistakes, or simply its place in the story of American money. So the next time you come across a 2010 penny, take a closer look. Is it shining brightly, nearly flawless, as if it just left the mint? Could it have doubling in the lettering or an unusual off-center strike? Does the plating look odd, revealing silvery zinc beneath the copper? If so, you might just have a coin worth far more than 1 cent. In fact, some of these modern errors and high-grade pieces have sold for hundreds, even thousands at auctions, making them a real prize for sharp-eyed collectors. And that's the beauty of coin collecting. You never know what you might find in your everyday change. The 2010 penny might be small, but it carries with it a rich history, a symbolic design, and the potential for surprising value. It proves that treasure doesn't always come in the form of gold or silver. Sometimes, it's hiding in plain sight in the form of a little copper-colored coin that most people overlook.